Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change.
Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? And happy New Year's Eve. You will not be surprised to learn that barely 10 minutes before I was knee-deep in looking at the national bylaws for some potential amendments to propose to the committee. This has just been an all-LP week. I've been off all week. I am fortunate to have, a job that gives you the week off for Christmas, and it's just absolutely crazy. And hello, Tilt 247. I haven't seen you in such a long time. And JJ, well, I see you all the time. Well, electronically. Anyway, yeah, so I've been off all week, and all I've been doing is LP shit. I thought I would actually get to sew this week. I must have been smoking crack because there's a seat cushion I want to sew because we've got this big window bench upstairs that we built that doesn't have a cushion on it because I need to sew a cover for it because it's non-standard size. It's like 5.5 feet long. It's like, that's what she said. But I have no time. And I thought I would have time this week. And I have no time. Between digging into Michigan, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. What else? I forgot. It's mostly digging into Michigan, right? But then the Colorado bylaws, which I had to spend 2 full days on just going through them with a fine-tooth comb. And I think I gave the rest of the committee a slight bit of a heart attack because if you look at the document I sent to them, it seems like there's more blue and red than there is text left unchanged. But it's really not. I'm actually proposing deleting sections that really don't belong in the bylaws, but still, it looks like a lot. And it's not a tiny amount. It actually is not as much as it looks, but it's not nothing here. So today, I was catching up on the National Bylaws Committee. So if you're following that list, you'll see that I did put out an agenda for our meeting on the 12th. Of course, it can be added to, but I think we have enough on it. We're not going to reach all of the items that are already on it. But you can register for that meeting at lp.org. There's an article that gives you the link. The more the merrier. I wish more party members would come to these really important committees like the National Bylaws Committee. The National Bylaws Committee is going to be recommending changes to the contract between you and between the party and its members. So it's really important to stay on top of that. Don't just blindly trust. Trust but verify, okay? And I'm saying that being chair of the committee. Don't just trust us. That's the road to hell right there. Okay, and I did want to say one other thing in Michigan. I think I might have said this on a stream. Oh, Dave, you're just leaving Vespers. That's wonderful. So I think I said this on another stream, but I might not have. The controversies there are not over. I don't know what all of the future ones will be. I know some of them that are brewing. I can see one coming. You'd have to be a blind man not to see it with that blatant contradiction in the bylaws. But they have a judicial committee. And outsiders, in my point of view, while they're still working through issues, I had no problem commenting on what I did before because it had been resolved by the Judicial Committee. A decision had been reached. It was time to move on. But as they might be in the middle of another one that will probably go to the JC, as long as the members there have a route to deal with it, a lot of times I did a lot of commentary such like Massachusetts, Delaware, because the aggrieved members there there was no internal mechanism to deal with their grievances other than the board that just bent them over. So, but Michigan's not that. They have a judicial committee. So I'm of the mind that people who are either not actively advising those people in a professional capacity, they're retained as a parliamentarian or a lawyer, and don't live there, like people like me, I may be a parliamentarian, I'm none of their parliamentarians. We need to butt out and let this, whatever the present thing is, work through itself. And so people asking me to comment on, things such as that. I've said my opinion on that contradictory bylaw provision, and I'm letting it go. And let's see what their judicial committee does, because they do have a route to deal with it. So anyone who's asking me about that's my position right now. So today is New Year's Eve. Boy, am I getting it in under the wire. We wanted to finish the November-December 1974 LP News before the end of December right now, so that we're keeping on track, and we'll start next week with the January-February 1975 LP News. I've been doing this show for a while because we started with 1971, and I've been going month by month, so man, I love my little history show. I prefer to do this than the party controversies. So we only have one column left, and that's what we're going to deal with. I've got my mimosa. Hopefully you got something to ring in the new year, even though we're not going to be here till midnight. I'm not going to be up till midnight. My eyes are crossing looking at bylaws. I'm going to work on them a little bit longer, and then my booty's going to bed. And today I was down at the Castle Rock Museum donating a bit of Castle Rock history to them. Found this artifact on eBay that I donated to the Castle Rock Museum from 1931. Okay. World News Notes for Libertarians. I want to keep comments up, so I'm not going to put the text up on the screen. We're just going to go through it. You can tell my printer's been printing pink. Excuse me on that, but so it is the November-December 1974 edition. All right, need to get out my magnifying glass. And hello, Joy. Okay. And obviously, I didn't do all the typical YouTube stuff today. Subscribe, Patreon, all of that. We're not doing that today. You all know about it. Which just flew off. Like, was that a bug? It's too cold right now. There can't be any bugs alive in Colorado. It's cold out, and it's going to be snowing again tomorrow and Monday, I think. I love it. I freaking love the snow. All right, got to get out the magnifying glass, and my booty's going to be down at storage tomorrow, and it's going to be freezing in there. Economy and government is how it starts. It costs an average of, wow. Okay, I wonder what it is today. It costs an average of $2,150 a piece for each bill introduced in the California state legislature. That's for printing. Now, okay, well, today they might not even print out everything, do they? I don't know. Is anyone here familiar with their state legislatures? Is it all electronic now? So that's for printing, filing, and other clerical procedures. The total cost for all paperwork has run to $51 million, and this was in 1974 just for one state. Casey Jones, call your office. Officials of Amtrak have spent over $750,000 in the past 16 months on airfare to cities serviced by Amtrak trains. So they flew rather than taking their own trains. Amtrak's deficit for fiscal 1975 is projected at $215 million. And I'm sorry, Pietro Garacci, who loves Amtrak. I think I have you here. Where? Yeah, here's Pietro.
Super dilatory, by the way.
That was super dilatory, by the way. If there's one word that freaking libertarians love at conventions, it's dilatory. They love that word. I remember one of my fond memories in 2016. First convention of any kind ever. Never mind a political convention, just of any kind of convention ever. I was in the audience, and that's when we were passing the death penalty plank, which is the first time that the National Party's ever taken a stand against the death penalty. Colorado had always taken a stand against it. But Aaron Starr was there, and he opposed the amendment. And we were in the back. We weren't at a mic or anything like that. But we're arguing with each other. And the argument just devolved into, you're being dilatory. No, you're being dilatory. Oh, my goodness. Libertarians love that word. Okay, railroad collisions are up 23% from 1972, and derailments are up 34% over the same period. Hey, since nationalization works so well, let's take over the oil industry. Keeping things under control. The government of Chile has banned the movie Fiddler on the Roof. If I were a rich man. And the Federal Communications Commission is being petitioned to ban the song Kung Fu. What song is that? Is that Everyone Was Kung Fu Fighting? Is that song? What's Kung Fu? Because of derogatory references to the Chinese community? Man, did woke crap, was that going on even back then? I'm not even familiar with the song. Is it Kung Fu Fighting? Because if so, I like that song. Okay. Song named Kung Fu in 1974. Yeah, it's Kung Fu Fighting. They wanted to ban that song? That's a fun song. Is there really derogatory things in there, or are people being just too sensitive? I mean, if they're legitimately is anti-Chinese slurs, that's not cool. But if it's just because it's kind of like making fun of the kung fu fighting genre of movies, like, who cares? Like, are we being like anti-cowboy with making fun of the really cheesy genre of spaghetti westerns. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Okay. I'll have to listen to that song again. As I've asked, when's the petition to ban Lola? I don't think people have really listened to those lyrics lately. And I like that song too. Okay. Richard Burton has been banned from all future drama productions on the government-controlled British Broadcasting Corporation because he called Winston Churchill a mass murderer. I lost 2 seconds on BBC. Okay. Consensus politics. The record for voter turnout, as well as uniform voting, goes to North Korea, where 100% of the votes cast 100% of their votes for the Workers' Party of Korea in 1962. The previous record had been in Albania, also in 1962, where all but 7 eligible electors went to the polls and all but 40 backsliders voted for their popular favorite, the Albanian Party of Labor. And those 47 people were unalived in... They're not saying this, I'm saying this. Were unalived in 1963. I don't know if that's true, but I bet you it was. Follow those footsteps. A federal... Uh-oh. I just saw the word anarchist here, and I'm like, this isn't going to turn out well. A federal district judge in Chicago sentenced a pacifist anarchist. Ah, sounds familiar. Not the sentencing, the pacifist anarchist part. For a 5-year prison term for sabotaging the selective service system. His reasoning? The court cannot cast its lot with anarchy. I would feel derelict in my duty if I did not impose a penalty as a deterrent to those who would follow in this defendant's footsteps. Now remember, the title of this little section was Follow Those Footsteps. Well, I am to my brother in philosophy way back there who got sentenced to jail. You took one for the team, I guess. Okay. Law and Order. A woman in the Los Angeles area who had babysitted, wouldn't it be babysat? Babysitted? That sounds weird. In her home for 7 years, closed her operation. She had a little operation going there. When authorities discovered it and pronounced it illegal. Her clients were primarily low-income mothers who worked at night, and many of them have since gone on welfare in order to afford higher legal babysitting rates. Next title, Death and Taxes. A man in Milwaukee who has been dead 2 years was finally cleared of IRS charges that he owed back taxes. The judge in the case agreed that the man's quote-unquote crime was paying his medical expenses before he paid his back taxes. But the judge thought that was not unreasonable under the circumstances. The tender mercies of the state. And JJ says I have a delay of about 2 minutes. That's interesting. Speaking of funny, and I didn't tell you this one, JJ, so you'll see it for yourself. But in that presentation I was watching today on crafting logical and clear bylaws or something like that? Yes, I know how to have a good time. I was sitting there with popcorn. I actually did really love this presentation. Sat there for an hour and 20 minutes just going, that was really good. Because he put up some really funny examples of just like dumb bylaws that he's encountered over the years. And one of the bylaws was something like, the executive committee will include all living past presidents. And he's like, you got to keep those dead ones out. Without that bylaw, you might have some zombies showing up to the executive committee meeting. Those dead past presidents. And when I shared with JJ, there was a bylaw that said the secretary shall keep written minutes. Okay. in case any secretary thought they were going to keep oral minutes. And, that probably wouldn't have occurred to me, but they were hilarious once he pointed them out. And now I'm super sensitive to that. My pet peeve is simple majority. Okay. Now, where am I at? Oh, backbone of our economy. The National Federation of Independent Business has enthusiastically placed a federal program which provides $1.2 billion for loans to small businesses. Why bother? A one-man business, I think they're missing a word here, now 100 hours a year just to fulfill federal reporting requirements, according to the Office of Management and Budget. I think they meant now spends 100 hours a year. Bureaucratic astigmatism. Under California state law, it's illegal for an optical company to advertise its prices for eyeglasses and contact lenses. Protecting and serving. One optical service was held in contempt of court for advertising. Until the courts determine your right to know what our low price is, visit or phone your request to the nearest optical office. Grasping the situation. New York Mayor Abraham Beame is arguing that his city's subway fare should be subsidized rather than increased because subsidies are anti-inflationary. Okay. You see, subway fares are included in the Consumer Price Index, but taxes aren't. So if we raise taxes, no one will notice and there won't be any inflation. You get it? Who's calling me? And it's not coming up on my screen. I don't know who, like, every night about 7:30 Mountain decides they want to call me. I don't know. And then there's always a silver lining. After the Supreme Court ruled that the transportation of turkeys, we have wild turkeys here in Colorado, and every time Wayne points one out, he's like, oh, there's a flock of turkeys. I'm like, what are those politicians doing out there? So the transportation of turkeys was not subject to regulation by the Interstate Commerce Commission, and then the average price shipping them fell 33%. The real turkey is the Interstate Commerce Commission. Oh, remember I mentioned this probably 10 shows ago. This title that intrigued me at the time, and we read it, but we're going to read it again, where it said pornograph record. And I was like, what does that mean? Like a record in like group sex? Or does it mean record like a 33 LP? Like, what do they mean? And did there used to be dirty vinyl records? Like, what's a pornograph record? And I don't know. It just doesn't seem too titillating to be listening to, like, a literal record on a record player of pornography. I mean, there are dirty books, so I guess it could be like a spoken book. But I don't know. I just found that weird. Hello, Trish. So, in New York State, Governor Malcolm Wilson criticized Democratic Lieutenant Governor candidate Mary Ann Krupsak for voting against a tough anti-pornography bill. She told voters she believed in freedom of speech. She won, he lost. Nassau? How come I can't pronounce that word right? Nassau. That's it. Nassau. I should know that because, like, in Florida, Nassau is like right off the coast. But anyway, Nassau County District Attorney William Kahn had a television ad in which he stood in front of a dirty bookshop. And I bet you they were playing Deep Throat there. Was Deep Throat out yet in 1975? Somebody look up. Let's look up when Deep Throat came out. Listen, you just never know the shit you're going to learn on this show. I think it came out before that, didn't it? When did Deep Throat come out? 1972. So it was out. Is it New Year where you're at, JJ? No, it's not New Year yet, right? It'd be 9 o'clock and it'd be New Year there. Yeah, 1972 is when Deep Throat came out. So, I bet you this dirty bookstore they're talking about was, whoever you are, don't call me. If you think my phone is for phone calls, you are gravely mistaken, my friend. I'm waiting for the buzzing to stop. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but my phone's like bzz, bzz, bzz. Okay, so he had a television ad in which he stood in front of a dirty bookshop and stated that he kept the garbage out of how do you say it again? Nassau, because we're parents, not prudes. He lost decisively. That slogan made no sense. Counterfeiting for fun and profit. God, I love libertarians. A recent Federal Reserve Board cited rising food prices as a major cause of inflation. As the wits in the San Diego Libertarian Alternative have noted, that's like the mafia issuing a report citing rising theft insurance claims as a major cause of crime. Crying of Lot 49. I don't know what that means, but let's see. The U.S. Postal Service's new 950 million bulk mail system will cause a package sent from El Paso to Midland, Texas, about 300 miles, to travel 1,794 miles from Pensacola to Panama City, Florida. No, excuse me. 1,794 miles. Okay. A package mailed from Pensacola to Panama City, Florida, 103 miles, will travel via New Orleans, Memphis, and Jacksonville. That's insane. Yeah, Nassau is in the Bahamas, and that's why I'm saying I should know how to pronounce it because I lived in Florida. But there's Nassau County, New York is what they were talking about here. Religious liberty. The Supreme Court overruled a lower court decision which had held that it was a legitimate exercise of their religion for Quakers to oppose withholding taxes that financed the Vietnam War. The High Court cited a law barring courts from restraining tax collection. Gross. Just simply gross. Oh, Crying of Lot 49 is the title of a Pishon? What is no idea. Maybe it's something I need to read. If it's cited in LP News, I probably need to read it. And then interior decoration. The Department of the Interior, under past secretaries Udall and Hickel, spent $6 million to find out that the main recreation in the U.S. is picnicking. That sounds like the bull semen study in Colorado. Oh, well, that is that for November, December 1974. These have gotten to be really long issues of LP News. I'm not sure if January, February 75 is the same. We'll see. I guess I will start that probably next week. Though I do have a lot of meetings next week. As I said, from now till February 18th, which is the deadline for reports and for the Colorado Convention, I'm going to be really busy. So I do hope you all have an awesome New Year's. And by the way, I mentioned that tweet I made that said, "Go home, reason you're drunk." I'm now up to nearly 1,000 likes on that in Twitter. That's by far, that's really good for me. I know that's not a lot for some people, but I don't have a super huge Twitter following. So that's it's a lot for me. All right, y'all, have a good night. And I'll say the cliche that I'll see you next year. All right, bye-bye.
gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians, or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business.